Welcome in, everyone, and thank you for listening to the 264th ever episode of the Missouri Sports Podcast, brought to you by 106 Apparel and recording from the MSP studio in beautiful Springfield, Missouri. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron Albert, alongside my good friend and fellow Mizzou fan, Kyle DeVries. How you doing today, Kyle?
I'm doing great, Cameron. Excited to talk a little football with you.
Yeah?
A little basketball.
Oh, yeah.
And, man, is Mizzou back?
We're back, folks. Yeah.
Feels like it.
I mean, I was prepping for this episode, and multiple times I just found myself smiling. Just because what I was looking at football is 4-0, and Missouri Tiger basketball has the #1 recruiting class in the country for the time being. But regardless, it's just all great things.
We prayed for times like these.
Exactly. And
enjoy it.
Yeah.
Bask in it.
Yes. That's what we're going to do for the next hour or so right now. We're going to talk about football. We're going to talk about the recruiting class and all of that. Before we get into it, don't forget you can, or please do, subscribe on YouTube. Leave us a review wherever you listen to us. And, of course, you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Missouri Sports Pod. Kyle, let's do basketball first. And then it'll be football the rest of the way. So if you want to skip basketball talk, that's fine. No big deal. I know you're excited about football. You're not allowed to skip basketball talk, though, Kyle.
I'll stick around.
Dennis Gates. He's a magician. He's our savior. He's doing incredible things. And they got another commitment. They got a commitment from the #1 player in the state of Arkansas. This is just new territory. This is not something we're used to.
Right.
These nice things happening over and over again.
Yeah. It's we were just talking about basking in this feeling a little bit, and like I got to fight already feeling like this is just what we do now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got to fight that because I don't know. We've wanted to be in this position for a while, and I don't want to be desensitized to this already because this is such a big deal, and it's just especially great to get the best player in Arkansas. Like it just, I don't know. You can't write stuff better than this, right?
Right. And so we'll jump into it here. Anor Boateng, from a senior from Little Rock Central High School, Little Rock, Arkansas, commits to the Tigers. Rated 4-star. This is kind of interesting. Rated 4 stars by all the major recruiting outlets. When you put that all together into 24/7's composite rankings, he becomes a 5-star. So he's the lowest rated 5-star player in his class, according to the 24/7 Sports composite rankings. So as far as we're concerned, 5-star.
Yeah, we always round up.
Yes. 5-star, 6'5" wing. I would say he plays more like a big guard than like a forward. Mm-hmm. But I was reading about him, reading some scouting reports on him. They're saying he's advanced for his age on the defensive side of the ball, which, what's new? Dennis Gates recruit is potentially going to make an impact right away on defense. That sounds about right. Can guard multiple positions. Offensively, he is good at getting to the rim, driving in transition or from the wing. Still working on his jump shooting, but it's coming along. All reports say his jumper is looking smoother than ever. And that's honestly what Gates and his assistants and everything have shown in their development of the guys that we knew about, like Kobe Brown, and the guys that they brought over from Cleveland State, like Demoy Hodge, turning those two guys who had potential, obviously, into professional basketball players. I don't know. I'm so excited for all these top 100 type players that he's bringing in out of high school, to see them get into this system and develop and see their strengths be, just utilized in the way that he came in day one and just like found Kobe Brown's strengths and said, yep, we're going to play to that. Mm-hmm. And I just can't wait to see what he can do with a guy for 3 or 4 seasons, maybe 2 seasons on some of them.
Yeah, I mean, it feels almost unfair to say this because Demoy Hodge and Kobe Brown are, NBA players at this point. But I mean, this time last year, we were saying, this is a little bit of a ragtag group here. But we were not saying that by the end of the year, obviously. So it's going to be pretty amazing to see what he can do with like actual great prospects and who have, Kobe was a good recruit, but I mean we're talking about pretty serious foundations to build upon here. But yeah, Kobe really could always shoot okay. He had his moments, but he was a totally different player this past season.
So Arkansas fans and Arkansas media people are already trying to paint the picture that Boateng was not a priority for the Razorbacks and Musselman, and it is true. I think they are in the driver's seat on I forget his name. We actually watched him at the Tournament of Champions. Isaiah Elohim, I think is his name.
Sounds familiar.
And so he plays the same position. He's another 6'5" wing, but he's not like a top 10 player in the country or anything. He's another 4-star, borderline 5-star guy. But I do think he will commit to Arkansas, but that just...
I don't buy it.
Yeah, and at the very least, I feel like Arkansas probably thought, well, we don't have to focus as much on him because he's right here in our backyard. We can turn on the full court press at any point and, get him to stay home.
Yeah.
And no, Missouri and Coach Gates, they said, don't worry, we will get you out of the state of Arkansas. I think I've said before about players from Arkansas, like, okay, thank you for raising him up right, but we'll take it from here. He's coming home to Columbia, and no looking back.
Yeah, exactly. That the scouting report that you were talking about a minute ago honestly sounds pretty similar to other Missouri commit Marcus Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Can you kind of compare and contrast those guys as prospects a little bit?
Yeah, I would say that Allen is more of like a forward, and I would expect him to not be the ball's not going to be in his hand as much on offense. He's going to be more, especially early. I see him more of as like a slasher. He's going to finish plays at the rim, but you're not going to exactly be running the offense through him. He could maybe get there eventually. Anor seems more like a guard. I think early you don't run the offense through him, but his build and his skill set projects to be a guy that is your go-to scorer eventually. That's where I'd say those two are different. But there's enough overlap there that I think they will complement each other very nicely when they're able to be on the court at the same time. Like, I love those two being like you're at the 2 and 3 spot or 3 and 4 spot in smaller lineups. I think you have incredible versatility with both of them.
Yeah, a lot of length.
So we mentioned that Missouri currently sits at number 1 in the country in team recruiting rankings. So just to recap what that looks like right now, T.O. Barrett, the point guard, number 88 in his class. Marcus Allen, who we just talked about, number 54 in his class. 7 foot, 330-pound Peyton Marshall, number 57 in his class. And now Boateng, number 26 in his class. And yeah, that's a top 10 class if they don't add anybody else. And there's still a ton of uncommitted 5-star guys, and that all that talent usually gets concentrated in a handful of schools. I still think you're looking at a top 10 recruiting class, no matter what, even if that's it.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't sound like that's it.
That might not be it. They're not done yet, folks. Another top 100 player in the 2024 class, Trent Burns, is going to commit on Friday this week. 24/7 Sports has him at 7'3", 210 pounds. And it seems he's originally from Houston, and it seems like it's down to Mizzou and the home state or hometown Rice Owls.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to like Mizzou's chances there. I think we're going to have another commit on Friday.
I think we are. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about 5 commits, maybe 6. There's another pretty big fish out there. We're talking about maybe 6 top 100 recruits if everything kind of falls into place here, potentially.
Yeah.
I mean, that's half the team. That's half the roster
Yeah.
right there. I mean, we had 4 commits this past year. I mean, if all of that actually happens, I mean, we're going to have a lot of youth on this team. Is that worry you at all?
No, not really. And so just to round it out, that last guy that we're talking about is 5-star big man Jaden Quaintance, who has been on campus, and Missouri seems to be in a good position with him. All reports and rumors indicate they are probably in the driver's seat. And I read that probably the next most likely outcome is that he goes to the G League, and just skips college altogether, and just kickstarts his pro career. Also, Cincinnati, Kentucky, and Ohio State are the next 3 schools involved with him.
Which we've talked about him a little bit briefly before, but I mean, this dude is a monster.
Yeah. And he is also young for his class. He reclassified out of the 2025 class.
Just super athletic, well-rounded, big.
Yeah.
Who just does anything he wants down low.
Soft hands, good defensive instincts, runs the floor well, everything you could want. And he's so young, it's like the Jonte Porter situation.
Yeah.
He would not be eligible for the NBA draft until after his sophomore season.
Yeah, I think he's only 16 years old right now, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you asked me a question about all the potential youth.
Yeah.
And
I mean, if everybody sticks on the roster, I mean, we're talking about what, like 10 freshmen and sophomores?
Yeah. I mean, well,
that's a long time to project out.
True.
In college basketball.
Yeah, I'm kind of have 2 minds in this. One is Dennis Gates can do no wrong. CY can do no wrong. I'm on board for whatever they want to do here.
You drank the Kool-Aid.
Absolutely.
We all have.
Yeah. Now, what seems realistic to me is like we've had an influx of transfers to try to maybe like stabilize things. You know, he brought his guys that he was familiar with from Cleveland State, and that went better than we could have hoped for, winning an NCAA tournament game. Now, we've kind of had to reset the roster a little bit going into year 2, bringing in some transfers. I could see that sort of being like a little bit of a 2-year buffer of like, let's just make sure we have everything stabilized. We don't want to have to go down to like single-digit wins and build this thing back up from nothing, which, as we can see now, was never on the table, thank goodness. But you always worry with the new coaching staff, are we going to have like a hard reset where we got to build everything up from scratch? And year 3, getting 2 recruiting classes that are all yours under your belt feels like an okay time to be like, look, we could keep doing this transfer thing year after year, but if he's telling me he's going to put together these type of high school recruiting classes and then we're going to get to watch these guys develop over the course of 2 or 3 seasons, 4 seasons for some of them, that is absolutely what I want to see.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, I think at a certain point when Calipari was bringing in like these big recruiting classes, like it was not working. And
right.
Like I almost wonder if he's kind of lost his touch to like develop a little bit. Like Kentucky has not been the same team they were, 5-10 years ago with this strategy. And but I do, I am biased obviously, but I do wonder if Dennis Gates he's just a special coach, I think, and I truly trust what plan they have in place here. But it probably always is a good idea to kind of try and get some experience in the transfer portal and stuff. But for the most part, you have to be excited about this, and I hope that we're pleasantly surprised too with the contributions of the true freshmen this year. It sounds like probably we'll get some pretty meaningful contributions from some of those guys. So that might make us feel a little bit better about the youth after we see like Trent Pierce play and some of these guys.
Yeah. And, during the Konzo era, there was no guarantee that any of the recruiting class, you sign 4 or 5 guys, maybe one of them is making it to their sophomore season as a Missouri Tiger. I mean, going back to, it's been a while now that we are losing entire recruiting classes to the transfer portal. And so it could be a situation where some of these younger guys kind of look around and see, ooh, my path to significant playing time is limited by these other guys, and they have to transfer somewhere else. I hope that...
That's still like the kind of transfer that you want to see, though.
I was about to make the comparison to the football team where, these guys that, they could contribute, but are sort of high floor, low ceiling, not super exciting players. Some of them low floor, low ceiling. That's what we've been used to in basketball for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah, not everybody's going to be able to have a star role.
Yeah. But it feels like we obviously are no longer going... not everybody's going to have a star role, so we might as well have an unranked player that has no business being on this roster. We're done with that, I hope.
Yeah, that was
seems like
we don't even know how to get anybody to come here, so
Yeah.
I guess we'll just pull some random transfer out of the MAC conference.
Yeah. Or we're going to add a no star, no recruiting profile high school senior.
Yeah.
Late in the recruiting cycle. I'm glad we won't have to do that.
You don't have to think about that anymore, Cameron.
A really big freshman class, though. You kind of have to look at like what's going on with the upperclassmen. So by my count, we have 6 players who run out of eligibility after this coming season: Noah Carter, Sean East, Nick Honor, Caleb Grill, John Tonje, and Connor Vanover, I think, do not have the option to return. So in theory, you could add Burns.
That's a pretty good trade right there. You take those 6 freshmen or high school seniors for the 6 you just said. Yeah, I think we would probably take that.
But in theory, we could add Burns and Quaintance and be fine.
And I feel like Majok's scholarship situation is potentially like up in the air. I'm not sure that we know for sure if he's on scholarship or not. So that could be another...
It seems like that's whatever the staff wants it to be.
Yeah.
He's on scholarship if they want him to be. He's not if they don't want him to be.
I don't think he is, but I don't think he's counting towards a scholarship total, but there is a chance that he could count towards that number as well.
And we've talked about this before, and you'll hear this more, but with the NIL situation, you can have guys that don't actually have a scholarship, but because the money's coming in,
that's true.
They walk on technically.
That is
they're paying for school
true.
themselves, but really, whoever Emo's Pizza is paying for it.
Yeah, and Dennis Gates he's even mentioned that.
Yeah.
Like this, I feel like I remember him saying like the recruiting number stuff. It's not what it used to be anymore.
Yeah.
You can't even think about it like concrete. We have
This
only
is
13 players or whatever, and so I had kind of forgotten about that comment. That just don't even worry about it.
Yeah,
don't even trip. It's all taken care of.
And if we really have turned this corner to like, this is just how it's going to be for a while, then you don't have to think too long before you start looking at 2025. Aaron Rowe, another like fringe 4-star, 5-star guy in the class of 2025. He's currently at Link Academy with T.O. Barrett.
Can't be bad.
No, don't mind that at all. So, I mean...
Stars are aligning.
Yeah, it just feels like we've really turned a corner with this basketball program, and it's about to get really fun and stay fun for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I know I've mentioned this before, and I tweeted something similar the other day, but I just can't help but think like, I think people that maybe are more national college basketball fans are thinking better just try and hang on to him. And maybe that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I don't know anything. But I feel like Dennis Gates is gonna prove to us that you can accomplish anything you can in college basketball at Missouri.
Yeah.
And you can get the best players in the country. You can finish in the top 4 and get a double bye in the SEC tournament every year. And you can potentially compete for a national championship. And I hope that he proves us right, and I think that he could.
And the way that Coach Gates and his staff seem perfectly aligned with DRF and what she's wanting to do, and him being her hire, I don't know. That synergy, I'm really digging it, and just all good vibes right now from the basketball program.
You can make as much money at Missouri as you can at other places too.
Yeah.
Is my personal opinion. We played Conzo a lot.
That's true. Yeah, and like thinking back like 2 weeks ago when things were confusing and stressful when we think about the football team, I think that I can only speak for myself, but let us know if you agree with this line of thinking. Is this is where you were 2 weeks ago? Seeing DRF and Coach Gates become aligned and just have this like singular vision for the basketball program, it just made me start to think, ooh, we need that in the football program. And 2 weeks ago, it didn't feel like we had it. A lot has changed in the last 2 weeks. So unless you have more to say about basketball, that seems like a good enough segue into football. It's starting to feel different around the football team.
Hey, winning solves problems.
Solves literally all the problems.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
unless your
they should try to win more.
Yeah, I mean, win all the games. Win all the games, and you have no problems.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're switching gears now to football. The Missouri Tigers are 4-0. They get the win in
number 23.
Number 23 ranked Missouri Tigers are 4-0 with the win in St. Louis over Memphis. They win that game 34-27. Any thoughts at the beginning? We run through kind of how it went down.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little torn on what I think about playing a game at the Dome. You know, I think I totally understand why it's important, why it's necessary for recruiting. We have a lot of players from St. Louis. That is a city we want to be friends with, and it seems like that's working out pretty well right now. Mm-hmm. Would I love to play Illinois every year in the Dome? Yeah, probably. That being said, that turf, man, kind of freaks me out.
Yeah.
It was almost like a fever dream, like seeing Missouri play in the Dome. I don't know, like, you know, it's been a while.
Yeah.
And I have like this weird personal connection with the Dome. I used to be in marching band in high school, and we would go to the Dome and we perform 2 or 3 times a year, every year. And that turf is like carpet and it is slick, man. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, like just thinking about playing a football game at full speed on that, and it didn't look great, at least on TV, like from the upper angle. I know we're seeing a lot of the little like black things in the turf and stuff, which probably makes it look worse than it looks like when you're on the field, but it didn't look like it was in great condition.
Right, and you could tell that they had, for this game, they had changed the hash marks and changed where the numbers were written and stuff, and that just looked rough.
Yeah, like you could see like the faded numbers and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so my thinking was like, you know, obviously last week I was like all in. We want Illinois, first game of the season in St. Louis every single year. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the way that the Missouri side of things had marketed all of this, the way it had become this huge event, and the connection to all the St. Louis, all the players on the roster from St. Louis, all of that was so fantastic. And it was just everything going perfectly. There was a little bit of drama around Missouri being the only team like represented on the field, basically.
That actually did kind of surprise me.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But I guess I didn't even really think about it, that I thought this was kind of like a neutral game.
Yeah.
And
not so much.
Not that much.
It was...
We bought the game.
Yeah. It was more like when Arkansas plays...
like Little Rock.
Yes, exactly.
Basically.
But first of all, Illinois is not going to go for that. If Illinois is going to come to St. Louis and play, their name's going to be in one of the end zones.
Sure, that would be different.
Yeah. But I don't know, just seeing some of the tweets and some of the people talking about like
Memphis was not happy.
They were not.
They took the buyout, but the fans didn't.
Right.
But so I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
But I mean, they made their own like hype video, you know, kind of disparaging Missouri almost a little bit. Like I don't know, it was like, okay, wow, they're kind of mad about this.
Yeah, but they got to take their angle.
Maybe that's what hype
everybody
that's what hype
fired up.
Are, yeah. Narrative, right?
Exactly.
You gotta have a narrative.
But seeing the Mizzou fans on Twitter being like, this whole setup in the Dome, it's not looking so hot. Like this place feels old.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, oh, come on. Like this is a fun thing. And then You saw more tweets, and then
you see the field.
You see the field, and then like the broadcast was like, "Ugh, this is not the best broadcast I've ever seen." And then the players start tripping and falling and cramping. It's like, okay, let's get this game over with, and never come back.
Yeah, there was definitely a moment where I was like, okay, this game just needs to end.
Yeah. So,
but I mean, the ceremonial aspect, great idea.
Yeah.
Totally baller move from DRF to just be like, nope, we're playing this game somewhere else. Here's some money.
Yeah.
And now this is pretty much our home away from home, and we're gonna make this. This is gonna be a strategic move for us.
Yeah. And no, I'm thinking I still want to play Illinois and St. Louis.
Just figure out the turf situation.
Yeah.
That probably would go a long way.
Yeah. Upgrade the facilities a little bit.
Maybe.
Come on, we want to have a nice event there. But I was just thinking, like, this is kind of a good idea to, like, sort of preemptively be like, St. Louis, Mizzou football, we're with you guys.
Yeah.
And then be like, okay, yeah, Illinois, neutral site. Sure, come on down. After we've already established this, like, home away from home.
Yeah.
I feel like that could work. Now to the actual football game. Right off the bat, Harrison Mevis executes the most perfect onside kick I've ever seen in my life. Kicked it to himself, perfectly 10 yards away, catches it, Missouri ball. No, offsides. And
do we know who the offsides was on? Was it not Mevis? It was
not
someone
Mevis.
else. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally like the last time we saw this human being, he kicked like the longest kick in SEC history to win the game and brought 50,000 fans onto the field. And then we're like, well, that was pretty legendary. Next time we see him, just starts off the game with like collecting his own kick for an onside, like successful onside kick. Like, this guy's incredible.
And Coach Drinkwitz said like they had been planning that all week, and they just they felt so good about his ability to do that in the moment that he was just doing it over and over again in practice. Like, it was nothing.
Yeah.
And then
do it again, I say.
Yeah. I mean, just don't line up offsides this time.
That's true.
Coach Drinkwitz said regarding that whole situation, quote, "Everybody thinks I'm not aggressive, so I figured I'll show you I can play aggressive."
He listens to this podcast, doesn't he?
Well, I don't think we're the only ones lamenting his lack of aggressiveness.
Absolutely not.
But
I mean, yes, I did think that.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. They did show though that they are aggressive, throwing the ball around all of a sudden. They did it against Kansas State. I said that Kansas State's secondary looked a little like Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
They go out and make Memphis's secondary look like Swiss cheese.
Yeah. I mean, I asked you last week, is this who we are now? And we were kind of like, I guess. And I guess I'll ask you that again. I mean, I guess.
Start the game off, 76-yard touchdown to Marquise Johnson. That's just what we do now.
I mean, he had 5 yards plus of separation.
Yes.
Cook
still put it on him where he didn't have to slow down.
That was probably one of the most obvious takeaways I had from watching Memphis's film before last week was their secondary is not going to be able to hang in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Literally the first thing that happens is we just blow by them for a massive touchdown, which there was a flag on that play too. And I was already just like, no, because I was just like, there's no way you have a play go that successfully where we didn't do something.
Yeah. Somebody did something illegal to make that happen.
Exactly. So that was a pleasant surprise.
But it was actually holding on on the guy guarding Johnson, held him and he still got that separation.
Right.
I guess that's what happens when you know you're going to get beat.
Yeah, so we definitely know that about Marquise Johnson at this point, that he's a burner. Some guys, that's kind of like the only role they play throughout college. But so it'll be interesting to see if he kind of develops his route tree and is more of a, does more than just that. But we know he can definitely do that.
Yes,
at the very least.
Drink wants to get him more involved.
Okay,
shockingly,
sounds great.
As far as Memphis's offense, they got it going with Blake Watson. He looked good early. They were getting him plenty of touches, and he was kind of making me think like, okay, if they just feed this guy the ball, Memphis's offense seems like it should be able to make some things happen here. But really, Missouri's defense, the first half, they impressed me. I feel like the game-changing play in the first half was clearly Schrader's fumble. because that just gave Memphis the ball in such incredible field position at like the 15-yard line or something.
Yeah.
And they were able to score a touchdown to take a 10-7 lead at that point.
Yeah, that was kind of a shaky moment of the game right there.
Yeah, and it was like, it felt like the rest of the first half was just like, okay, now we have to do a little bit extra to overcome that weird situation, like an uncharacteristic fumble at that part of the field that they're able to easily turn into a touchdown.
Yeah.
Just felt like we're playing catch up on that the rest of the first half.
And I do just kind of feel like Memphis plays better when they're ahead. Like they just are, their offense, I feel like they just kind of want to nickel and dime you, and they're not going to kill you with big plays. So it just seems like that's where they want to be is in the lead, and they can kind of maybe put you away. So I was happy to see Missouri easily climb back in it.
Yeah, they want to be able to just lean on that running game. And I mentioned in the preview episode that they were averaging, I believe they were averaging 183 yards rushing per game. And Missouri's defense held them to just 83 yards rushing. So 100 yards fewer than they were averaging coming into this one, obviously against worse competition. But still, I was fully expecting to see them be somewhat successful on the ground.
Yeah.
And obviously the game script dictated that a little bit. They needed to throw a little bit more. But I was just super impressed with Missouri's run defense, and I have been all season so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, without Darius Robinson too.
Yeah. So, he gets banged up early, and Coach talked about it afterwards. It was a strained calf that he actually suffered at the end of the Kansas State game, and had kind of worked through it all week, was ready to go, but then re-injures it almost immediately in the first quarter. And that makes sense. Once you saw the frustration on his face, it all made sense that
he had been battling that all week probably.
The defensive secondary for Missouri was making big plays. Norwood had some pass deflections early where he just like had his guy absolutely shut down.
Yeah. And
jumping around a little bit here, but Chris Abrams-Drain gets the interception. Marcus Clark gets an interception. This is the defensive backfield was elite in their coverage, but what's now been a little bit of a trend, and Coach Drink talked about this, and maybe it has something to do with, Rakestraw being out or whatever, but their man-to-man defense is struggling. And Coach Drinkwitz called that out in the post-game press conference and previewing Vanderbilt, that's got to get better. Hopefully the secondary being healthy would help that, but he just said guys are looking into the backfield too much when they're supposed to be playing man-to-man, and that just can't happen. And so watching the game again, a lot of the lapses from Missouri's defense were from exactly that, playing man-to-man and getting caught looking in the backfield.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot up in the air for the secondary in this game against Vanderbilt. I mean, we'll talk about that but in a little bit, but definitely Norwood is questionable, Rakestraw is questionable, so they've got some issues to figure out before the Vanderbilt game.
Missouri's offense, though, just kept it rolling. At one point, Brady Cook, your Missouri quarterback, Brady Cook, was 9 for 9 passing with 164 yards.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's efficient.
And now it makes me wonder, because guys are just open all over the field.
What changed?
Is Kirby Moore just drawing up plays that have the correct route combinations that are just causing guys to be wide open like that versus Drink, who never could figure out how to do that? That seems like unlikely.
Yeah.
But
I think
that's
a lot of
what
it,
we're seeing.
Right. I 100% agree. It does feel like guys are just running open, but I do think a lot of it is Brady seems to be seeing the field a lot better. Maybe the game slowed down for him a little bit. The offensive line is giving him more time than I think he was getting last year, but Brady started playing better at the end of last year, but he still had never at any point was he doing what he's done in the last 2 games. So, yeah, I don't know, but it's a beautiful thing to see, like, guys just running all over the field and just, catching the ball in space, finding the soft spot in the zone, whatever.
Over the middle.
Yeah, they're hitting guys really anywhere on the field and not doing some like sketchy sideline 50-50 ball. Or they're really, making smart passes.
There was one really creative play in particular that was like a lot of misdirection happening, and it ended with a late throw to Luther Burden, like a lateral throw to him on the sideline. Of course, he made two guys miss and almost scored a touchdown. But that's the type of play that jumps out to me where that was just good decision making from Brady Cook. I don't think Burden is the number one option there, or he maybe is the number one option. Cook looks there first on this like play action, I think, and then maybe he's supposed to look at the running back, but he just went through it and sent it right back over to Luther Burden because the corner was playing off of him and he turned it into something.
Yeah, it seems like he's processing much quicker than even he was at the beginning of this season. I mean, that was a complaint we had just 3 weeks ago. He looks like he's stuck in the mud. He's not processing quickly. He's not going through his progressions. He's just standing still. And I mean, I feel like I remember the exact play you're talking about, where he was looking around, like actively, quickly decided this is not here.
Yep.
I'm going somewhere else. I know I've got Luther Burden over here.
Yep.
And just trusted his instincts, and it looked so much more natural than he looked even just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and with Drinkwitz's comment about it's chess, not checkers, when he was asked, like, were you holding stuff back in the first two games? Like, okay, whatever, I'll buy it. I guess you were.
I guess we have to believe that. Yeah. And we talked about it last week, but that's what happens whenever you show that you can throw the ball deep, you can throw it anywhere in the field.
Yes.
Like the very things we hated, a month ago are now successful plays because you've opened up the playbook, you've opened up the field.
It makes a difference when that's not the only thing you can do.
Right. Exactly.
Let's see here. Where are we? Speaking of Brady Cook, he is still taking big hits.
He's tough, okay?
He is very tough.
He has to prove it to us.
He has more than proven it.
SDP.
I need no more proof from him on how tough he is.
Well, he has something to prove, man.
I know. Yeah, but there was a point there. He got hit, and it was like he was scrambling for a first down, didn't quite get it, but it made an incredible play with his legs.
It's like, okay, he's actually hurt now.
Yeah. And, well, it's like, dude, you are hurt.
Yeah.
So I need you to take care of yourself, buddy.
He was really like taking care of himself, buddy, at the beginning. Mm-hmm. And then like it was just like all of a sudden he's like, I can do this.
Yeah.
And that's when he started getting hit and stuff. He started running more, and I'm like, okay.
It made me very scared, I'll be honest with everyone.
I mean, you got to feel for Sam Horn, man. Like, he is getting teased like every game multiple times. Like, okay, this is finally my moment. And then it's like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Brady, he's like, can't even walk. Yeah. And then like 10 seconds later, he's like trotting back in.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Yeah. But honestly, and Coach Drinkwitz said that's on him for not making, he needs to make sure that Brady Cook knows when to slide. It's like, okay,
whatever.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was laughing at myself during the game because 2 weeks ago, I could not have imagined that these words would come out of my mouth. I said, Brady Cook, please don't get hurt. We need you for SEC play.
Yeah. It's really been weird. A total 180.
He was banged up, obviously. We talked about Robinson. Mookie Cooper took a shot to his head.
Yeah. I haven't heard anything about him, so I'm assuming
he was back
fine.
at practice, so he seems fine. Norwood was banged up.
Man, that was an ugly play too. It looked like he kind of got like folded up on. Like, yeah. It looked like it could have been serious, but.
And then everybody was cramping. Luther Burden was cramping. KD was cramping.
Okay, there was like a moment where Luther Burden gets hurt. He's just cramping. He's probably fine. But something about the angle that the camera was looking at him on the ground, and like just the way he was kind of laying on his back with his legs like up in the air a little bit. For like a half a second, I thought he had this like really grotesque injury, like where his leg was going the wrong way. I don't know why. It just like something about
your mind was like preparing itself for like worst case scenario.
I was literally like about to just start screaming, but I don't think that's what was happening there. And then he went to the locker room.
Yeah, and he was like walking off on his own, and then like it seemed like as soon as he thought he was like out of sight of the cameras, then they like had to be carried. Like, okay, well, we saw that.
Hey, cramps are painful, man.
Yeah.
Charlie horse.
Got to get him that pickle juice. Yeah. So what happened in the rest of this game? Missouri seemed to be cruising there for a little bit in the second half, up 14. Memphis did score a touchdown with under 2 minutes left to give us the final score 34-27. And it would have been nice to see the defense get a stop there and
Kind
just
of a garbage time touchdown.
Yeah, it was a little bit. And Memphis does that. Like they have a lot of fourth quarter scoring.
Is that an accusation of some kind?
Yeah, I mean, you're down 14, you got to keep trying.
Yeah.
Luther Burden recovered that onside kick
Yeah, did he really?
late, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
When they tried to get the ball back there.
Grants
So
and all. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is a concern, but I mean, Missouri still, I'm not sure they know how to blow somebody out.
Yeah.
It looked like they were maybe headed that direction in this game. And I know you're probably not going to blow out Kansas State. You're just happy to win that game. But, and they're playing checkers in those first two games. So I don't know. Whatever. I don't know what we're,
Exactly.
Everything's just a unique case here.
I guess you got an opportunity this week.
Maybe. I would love to see them blow somebody out, though.
Yeah.
Just be better the whole game.
Yeah, I think what didn't allow Missouri to blow out Memphis is 0 for 8 on third down for the Missouri offense.
Super weird.
And it becomes obvious on a rewatch, and Coach Drink talked about it, but a lot of those 8 third down situations came after a first or second down that had a penalty. The offensive line honestly played really well outside of penalties. Missouri had 7 penalties, but only for 41 yards because I think like 4 of them were false starts. So when you're starting 1st and 15, or you get 5 yards on first down, but then you're repeating 2nd and 10 because of a penalty, well, that's just that's like getting stopped for a run of 0 yards. You're just like putting yourself behind the chains because of penalty. But outside of that, I thought the offensive line impressed.
Yeah.
I thought they looked good.
They're playing well.
Especially, I noticed playing through the end of the game, the offensive line and the running backs showed late in the Memphis game that they had just more talent and more stamina for this type of game where we need to just go score a dagger-like touchdown in the fourth quarter. Missouri was able to do it on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels like the run blocking especially has been good really in every game this season so far. Seems like the PFF grades are hit or miss on that stuff. Like maybe doesn't like the run blocking as much as I feel like it looks good in the games, but it feels like the running game has really been there in all of these games so far for the most part.
Yeah, it seems like a little more. It's slow starting in the Kansas State game and against Memphis. It feels like I think each running back in both games had like a big run late where they like doubled their rushing total up to that point. So, but it could get a little sketchy without a couple of those big runs. But hey, if they're doing it late because the defense is tired, great.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
I saw a random take on Twitter from some, everybody's got a podcast nowadays, but some like I think it was like somebody covering the SEC or just college football in general was talking about Missouri's passing offense has not even seen its full potential. And his take was because Missouri needs to run the ball to buy some time for their defense that is struggling. You think there's any merit to that?
Say that one more time.
Missouri could be throwing the ball around a lot more, for 500 yards a game.
Okay.
But the offense needs to intentionally eat some clock to save their defense that has been struggling so far.
Okay.
Does that feel like an outsider perspective that hasn't been watching the games? Or?
I don't know. I mean, maybe, but I think at this point, Missouri's offense is just doing what they can to score.
Are we worried about the defense at all, though?
I don't think so. I mean, I think we knew that there was a chance that we could see some regression from. I don't think. I mean, maybe some people did, but I don't think we expected to see the defense be as elite as they were last year, with like the defensive end issues and stuff like that. But I don't know. They've struggled at times, but I'm really not worried about the defense.
Yeah, and I wouldn't put too much stock in this Memphis game because of the injuries.
Yeah.
Like, let's see everybody healthy. Just to rattle off some stats for you real quick, Cook ended the game 18 of 25, passing for 341 yards, 2 touchdowns. Schrader and Pete combined for 29 carries, 188 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Luther Burden, 10 catches for 177 yards. So just back to back to back.
Luther Burden!
Oh my God, that scared me.
We didn't get that call, unfortunately.
There was like a couple times she said Luther Burden like in an excited voice.
Yeah.
That kind of sounded like that.
I thought we were going to get another epic Luther Burden call, but I was disappointed. He's just now back-to-back games setting career highs and like elevating his game every time.
He's incredible. Like, he's so fun to watch. Like, it's
getting some national recognition.
Yeah, I think at this point, like, you could consider that he's catching the eyes of the national media, and he kind of plays in a way that's just unique. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, we've seen him beat the other team over the top a couple of times this year and stuff, but like, that's really not like what he does. That's not what makes him so special. It's just his ability to break tackles and like just make something out of nothing. Yeah. And he's just so hard to tackle.
And it's like breaking, like a broken tackle seems like the wrong term for when there's a guy there and then just comes nowhere near tackling him.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't a broken tackle because he never even allowed him to attempt a tackle. Mm-hmm. He never touched him.
Yeah. Yeah, he is a tank.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
And still, there's like every time he touches the ball, he's making a guy miss.
For sure.
Mookie Cooper did have 3 receptions for 58 yards. Theo Weiss, 3 receptions for 29 yards and a touchdown. And I got to say, that throw and catch, the touchdown to Weiss, looked like the type of thing you do when you're just a good offense. Like, Brady Cook just saw him cross in the front of the end zone, put it right on him. It was a one-on-one situation. It just looked like an easy touchdown throw and catch.
Yeah. Yeah, Weiss has been pretty good as advertised as well.
Yeah.
How do you think Dominic Lovett's doing?
You know what? I was keeping up with his stats for a while. After 2 games or so. Not
even worried about it.
Who
cares?
Yeah.
It's going to be...
Yeah. I'll look up his stats whenever... Oh, I don't... No. Just a college kid. I was going to say I'll look up his stats when he announces he's entering the portal next offseason. I didn't say it, though. No, that's what I was going to say.
Absolutely. Thanks for refraining.
Thanks. Oh, yeah, you're welcome. Missouri beats Memphis 34-27.
We'll take it.
Good game all around.
I think Memphis is a solid team. I think they're better than Vanderbilt.
Yeah. So heading into conference play now, Brady Cook is completing 72% of his passes. He's thrown for 1,000 yards already, 10 total touchdowns, averaging 10.7 yards per attempt. Every time he releases the ball, on average, it's a first down.
We should be throwing for 500 yards, right?
That's what they're saying.
Running too much.
Luther Burden, 32 catches, 500 yards, 3 touchdowns. Schrader and Pete combined 109 rushes, 589 rushing yards, and 4 touchdowns. The offense is humming.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's going to continue as well.
And the Missouri Tigers are ranked 23rd in the latest AP poll. And we go on the road to Vanderbilt to open conference play. And it is just the perfect stair step of we've had our challenges. We've done a little bit of everything. We've played FCS opponent. We've played top 25 team, a rival. We've done a neutral site, and now we're going on the road. Vanderbilt is 2-3 on the season with wins over Hawaii, Alabama A&M, and losses to Wake Forest, UNLV, and most recently Kentucky. Barry Odom-led UNLV squad gets his revenge from losing to Vanderbilt with Missouri.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
What are you thinking about Vanderbilt? seen a few people thinking, you don't want to overlook Vanderbilt.
Sure.
Thinking too much about LSU.
I think you have to go in with that attitude. I mean, we've been burned by Vanderbilt before in
Respect your opponent.
In seasons where we're pretty good. So last year, I mean, they probably should have beat us at home.
The last 2 seasons come down to the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think it's probably best to just save the jokes for after the game and just go in there and take care of business.
Yeah.
And I mean, they have some good players, man. It's weird. It's like when you watch the actual offense operate, they make some explosive plays. They play confidently. They really air it out, throw it a lot.
Yeah.
They have
Aggressive.
some really legitimately good wide receivers, like even at the SEC level. Will Shepherd especially.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's like Missouri should win this game. Vanderbilt, it's like, I don't know. They just cannot put it together. Their defense is bad. But so when I really think about it, they should not be a threat to Missouri, but weird things have happened.
Is it too much for me to ask for a win and we get healthy for LSU?
I think we can do it.
Okay. All right.
I mean, we were talking about this in the Discord. It would be actually pretty nice if we had a bye after Vanderbilt before LSU. I think our bye is after LSU, but I think it'll be okay.
Okay. Yeah, and Vanderbilt, their offense can be explosive, but it is like the definition of inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
AJ Swan has been playing well for the most part, but he just isn't consistent enough. He's only completing 54% of his passes, but he's thrown for almost 1,300 yards and 11 touchdowns, but also 7 interceptions.
Yeah.
And he's hurt. He might not even play in this game. So we may be going up against Ken Seals, who is a senior. And if that name sounds familiar, he was the starting quarterback for Vanderbilt 3 seasons ago, when Missouri won 41-0. So maybe that's
gotta like that.
Maybe you do want Ken Seals to play.
Yeah.
But he's been there a while. Has only thrown the ball 11 times this year, but threw for 1,100 yards and 5 touchdowns in 2021, 1,900 yards and 12 touchdowns in 2020.
Yeah. Yeah, Vanderbilt with AJ Swan kind of has that, like, we don't even care, man. We'll kill you, like, kind of attitude. Like, they're just kind of like crazy. Mm-hmm. Like, they're just like
unpredictable.
Yeah, they're
volatile.
unpredictable, and they got nothing to lose.
Yeah,
it's like that's how, like, we really don't care. We're just that's kind of the attitude that they play with. Like,
kind of a fun offense in that regard.
But that's why I think that we should take this seriously, and because they'll just, I don't know, man. This could be a shootout if we're not careful.
If Swan can't go, it's probably going to be Seals. There's a chance we could see one of 2 redshirt freshman quarterbacks, Drew Dickey or Walter Taylor. I wanted to mention Walter Taylor because I think he might be the future at quarterback for Vanderbilt. He's 6'7", 235.
Sounds like a well-built gentleman.
Yeah, so maybe watch out for that in the future.
That's all you know about him, though, or
that's all I know.
Oh, okay. Well,
he's a redshirt freshman. Has not played a snap in college. I don't think so.
It's one of those guys, kind of a more mobile quarterback.
I think the idea is Taylor is a bit more of a dual threat guy with his size.
Could be interesting if they throw a couple of those guys out there. Obviously, Seals is not.
Yeah.
The mobile quarterback.
Yeah. Swan's not mobile either. And they can't turn to Mike Wright because he's not on their team anymore. He's playing for Mississippi State.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would be pretty nervous about the backup quarterback situation if Mike Wright was still there, but
exactly.
Maybe he wouldn't be the backup if he was still there. Because
he's the backup at Mississippi State, though.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, because he would for sure come out and beat us if he was still there.
They've got 2 pretty good running backs with Patrick Smith and Cedric Alexander, kind of a 1-2 punch there. And you mentioned their wide receivers, Will Shepherd, London Humphreys, and Jaden McGowan. They are just a pretty legit trio of wide receivers, and they use those guys in special teams as well, getting their playmakers involved. They definitely have a below average Power 5 defense. Mm-hmm. Not something to be too scared about. I feel like it's going to look just kind of generic. When you're watching on TV, yeah, they're going to mix it up with some different blitz packages and different, multiple coverages that they'll shift into, but I don't think it's a threat.
Yeah.
I think we should be okay.
Yeah, you mentioned Will Shepherd, their wide receiver, 345 yards and 6 touchdowns on the season already. So there might be an element of he's just going to get his in this game.
Yeah.
But I agree with you on the defense. It's nothing special. They've given up a ton of points in basically every game they've played.
Yeah. And including, they're just kind of making some of these other offenses look really good. Now, Kentucky scored a bunch of points, but I think they had 2 pick sixes.
Oh, really?
In that game?
Yeah, I actually turned that game on in the first quarter, at the end of the first, and Kentucky was up 21-0. Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay.
I think they already had a pick six by that time.
That makes sense.
And then they got another one later. They scored 45 points, I think, but 14 of that was from the defense. The offenses in that game were both struggling a bit. But Swan is hurt. So we're going to be 5-0. What's it going to look like? Is it?
I think there could be an element of a little bit of a shootout here.
Okay.
Maybe I think Missouri dominates at the beginning of the game and tries to slow down the game, and Vanderbilt's like, "Nah, we're gonna hit you through the air a little bit." And I think Vanderbilt makes things interesting a little bit in the second half. But I'll say Missouri wins 45-28. Lots of scoring.
45-28. That would be pretty fun.
Yeah.
I got a little bit less scoring. I've got Missouri 37-21.
That sounds pretty safe.
Yeah. Well, I think both of those picks seem about right. I'd like to see Missouri score 45 points. 45-28, that's
a lot of scoring.
Is that the type of game
that's probably way over the over?
Okay, well, yeah, probably is. Do you see a situation where we're able to pull Brady Cook and let him rest? I want the guy to rest.
Yeah, I would love that. It's probably best of both worlds. Brady gets to rest. Sam Horn gets to toss it around a little bit.
Because now I am starting to think, let's get Horn some game reps because Brady Cook is not going to last all season at this rate.
I agree. Yeah, that's best case scenario. Get up 3 or 4 touchdowns in the third quarter or something. That's probably asking,
feels too good to be true.
That's probably asking for too much. That really hasn't been how any of their games have gone, or even remotely close so far. But if I could design it myself, that's probably what I would want.
Yeah,
but it could happen.
The only guy that's injured and out for sure is Mekhi Miller.
Yeah.
Robinson, Burden, Cook,
I
Norwood, Rakestraw, Norfleet, all of them questionable.
I have a hard time seeing Norwood play. I don't know anything really about his injury, but just the way it looked, just looked really bad last week. And so I think they said it was a high ankle sprain, so those typically take a few weeks at minimum.
Norfleet's still dealing with ribs from that hit he took in the Kansas State game.
Sounds like he's probably going to play, though. I don't know about Darius Robinson, though. It might be in their best interest to let him rest.
Yeah.
And just get him right for LSU.
I'm down for that, for sure.
Yeah, I felt like Niles Gaddy and Joe Moore and Firestone, I think they played pretty well with Robinson being out.
Get them some more reps.
Yeah.
I think Missouri's defensive line will be just fine without him in this game. Okay, we're predicting a win. We're predicting 5-0 going into LSU.
Oh, man, that is so exciting.
I did not.
Please don't mess us up. I'm begging you.
No.
Coach
Please
Drinkwitz.
let it happen.
Please
we need
win.
this. This feels like the type of game they just go win, though.
I think so.
First SEC game on the road at Vanderbilt. It just feels like a game that they take seriously.
They have to.
Feels like going away from home, but having the crowd behind you, but, having to use different facilities and all that kind of stuff.
Sounds like an interesting situation, too. Like the construction going on
and
stuff. And the visiting locker room situation doesn't sound great.
Yeah. It may not be an upgrade from the Dome facilities. But at least they're used to it.
Who knows?
All right, let's go get a win, and let's pick the rest of the SEC slate. It's the first week where it's only SEC opponents for all the squads. How'd we do last week?
You were perfect.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah,
That's what I
all
like
of
to
them
hear.
right. All 6.
Was
6
any?
for 6.
Did I pick an upset?
Nope.
Easy.
Nope. There were no upsets.
And Tristan's picking for us this week.
Tristan is picking this week.
Tristan, welcome in.
Welcome. You're going down.
So, point total so far, Kyle has 30. Everybody else has 31. Kyle missed 2 picks last week.
Wow.
Can't let that happen, Kyle.
Now I'm in the catbird seat.
Exactly.
What does that mean?
I have no idea.
I think it's a real phrase, right?
It sounds right.
I don't know what it means though.
Yeah.
Something.
You used it right, though. I can tell.
Oh, okay, thanks.
All right. First game up this week is number 22, Florida at Kentucky. Kentucky is a 1-point favorite. Give me Florida.
Cameron takes Florida. Florida beats Tennessee, and now they're ranked, and they're good. I hope not. No. But
Look at you
Kentucky's not good
questioning
either.
What's the line?
1.
Kentucky by 1.
In favor of
At home.
Kentucky. Yeah, I'm going Florida. I'm anti-Kentucky, remember?
Tristan takes Kentucky. Tristan takes Kentucky.
What do you mean,
And you
who?
say what? And what did you say?
I said Florida.
And Cameron said,
Florida.
all right, Tristan, let's go. Kentucky.
Ooh.
You felt like you didn't really want to do that.
No, but my narrative is Kentucky's actually better than Florida.
This is a little battle of the narratives, isn't it? Here?
Yes, exactly.
Next game up is Texas A&M at Arkansas. Texas A&M is a 6.5-point favorite.
Just lost their starting quarterback for the year. Texas A&M did.
I did not see that.
Give me
Oh,
Arkansas.
my. And
Tristan.
he was playing well, too.
Tristan takes Arkansas.
Kyle
As do I.
I want A&M. Absolutely, I want A&M.
Didn't Arkansas, they hung with LSU this past week.
Yeah,
Lost on
LSU.
a game-winning field goal.
LSU's defense looking a little sketchy. Let Arkansas score a bunch of points.
I don't know anything about Texas A&M's backup quarterback. Give me A&M.
Arkansas's bad.
I trust Vegas on this one.
Yeah, good point.
Next up is number 1, Georgia at Auburn. Georgia is a 14.5-point favorite.
At Auburn?
Go ahead.
Give me Georgia, but Auburn to cover.
Ooh.
That doesn't mean anything in this game at all.
I'll take Georgia.
Georgia all around.
It's too risky. You just got to go Georgia there.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, any line over like 10 is like, the reward is not good enough.
Number 13, LSU at number 20, Ole Miss. Hold on, let me look at the line again.
This is an
Did I-
interesting one.
Did I mess something up?
No, I might have.
I mean,
LSU and Ole Miss.
yeah, because
Oh, that was. I really thought Ole Miss was going to show up better last week.
yeah,
They kinda got
LSU's a
smoked.
2.5-point favorite.
interesting. LSU's, like I said, their defense looked sketchy against Arkansas.
They didn't respect their opponent.
No, but they may not have been capable of it.
That's true.
And Ole Miss's offense is
Were they trying to play a little bit of chess, or I mean,
checkers.
they played checkers.
Yeah,
They're trying to hide their game plan for Mizzou.
probably. Supposedly, LSU didn't want to play Mizzou under the lights.
That's the rumor.
That's the rumor. They were scared
They
and
lobbied.
convinced the SEC to schedule that for 11 a.m.
I actually saw this thing where Georgia's played like the most 11 a.m. games in the last however many years, and LSU has played like the least amount of 11 a.m. games. So maybe there's something to that where they've got a little bit of a, they're paying somebody. Okay. Give me, yes.
Do you want LSU to win this game so that it's a better matchup
Sure.
for Mizzou?
Sure. So give me Ole Miss. Got a hedge.
Okay.
Tristan takes LSU. Go ahead.
Ooh. I'll take LSU.
Oh, man.
It's in physical pain over there.
It's a tough decision.
It is.
It is.
There's a lot riding on this.
Give me Ole Miss.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go.
We haven't even updated last year's trophy, but the winner gets to go on the trophy. Maybe
Yes.
eventually.
Eventually, yeah.
maybe.
You take who? Sorry.
Ole Miss.
Okay. Yeah.
Mississippi.
And we got lots of splits this week.
Ooh.
Lots of splits. Do we have? I don't think we have any 1 versus 3s though. Do we?
We're about to.
Ooh. South Carolina at number 21, Tennessee. Tennessee is a 12-point favorite. Go ahead.
12.
Does everybody else take Tennessee?
I do. Tristan does.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not going to win 2 in a row that they.
Who they beat?
They're not going
somebody.
to lose 2 in a row that they shouldn't.
Who did South Carolina beat last week? Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me Tennessee.
I wanted to make this the 1v3,
Go
but
right ahead.
I can't do it.
Okay.
Tennessee.
Next up is number 12, Alabama at Mississippi State. Alabama is a 14.5-point favorite.
Alabama by 1 million.
Roll Tide.
Alabama all around. And last and certainly least, number 2, Michigan at Nebraska. At Nebraska, you never know. Michigan is a 17-point favorite. Give me Michigan.
Yeah.
I concur.
Michigan, and they cover.
Yeah.
And they cover in the first half with the starters, and they cover again in the second half with the backups.
Yeah, I could see that.
Michigan themselves will hit the over.
That's it.
Oh, that's it.
That's it. That's all we got.
Everybody takes Michigan, I assume. Tristan takes Michigan.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else to say to the folks?
No.
Enjoy these fun times. Keep them rolling. Special thank you to our Patreon supporters at the $10 level and above. You just said no. Britt Treese, Brian Smith, Ryan Demore, Tristan Ben Smith, Parker Daddy JD, Tim Keynes, Tyler Harsel, Brandon Garofalo, Brandon Hanks, Matthew Tilley, and Luis Hernandez. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. We value and love you. And you can find this podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We're on Twitter at Mizzou Sports Pod, and you can email us at MissouriSportsPod@gmail.com.
You can find our t-shirts and stickers on our online shop, MissouriSportsPod.BigCartel.com.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We will see you next week. After when?